We've come across a fascinating trend that we believe needs to be addressed without delay. There's a prevalent misconception that we've observed among men in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and even beyond, a belief that could be seriously limiting their dating experiences, particularly when it comes to attracting younger women. If you find yourself within this age group, it's crucial to understand that this misunderstanding might be holding you back, preventing you from forging connections with the vibrant, younger women you find appealing. The misconception in question is not just a minor error in thinking, it's a significant barrier that could be quietly undermining your confidence and narrowing your dating prospects. But here's the good news, this video is designed to help you shatter that misconception. We'll be guiding you through 6 straightforward yet highly effective strategies that can dramatically enhance your ability to attract younger women. These tips are not just theoretical, they are actionable, real-world strategies that, when applied, will help you navigate and ultimately transcend the social stigmas that often surround age gap relationships. By implementing these insights, you'll not only enrich your dating experiences but also open doors to connections with fantastic younger partners who appreciate the qualities you bring to the table. So, we urge you to stay with us until the very end. What we're about to reveal is more than just a minor tweak, it's a game-changing perspective that could transform your approach to dating. Pay close attention, as the revelation we're about to share might be the key to unlocking a new level of success in your romantic life. It's quite common for men in their 30s, 40s, and 50s to feel that their age might be a hurdle when it comes to attracting younger women. Many believe that being older puts them at a disadvantage, thinking that youth is the ultimate key to appeal. Yet, what often goes unnoticed is that age can be transformed into a powerful asset in romantic pursuits. Numerous psychological studies reveal that younger women are often drawn to older men, and it's not merely about physical attraction. This allure stems from a certain mystique that older men carry, one that younger women often find captivating. This fascination isn't just about the number of years lived, but rather about what those years represent. Younger women tend to associate older men with qualities like confidence, stability, and a sense of direction. These are attributes that can be incredibly enticing, far more so than the often perceived charm of youth. It's the aura of having life somewhat figured out, of knowing what you want and how to get it, that becomes irresistibly attractive. So, if you're an older man, understanding this dynamic can be the key to unlocking genuine connections with younger women. Confidence, for instance, is a trait that many younger women find almost magnetic in older men. It's the kind of confidence that doesn't stem from arrogance, but from a quiet assurance that comes with experience. This form of confidence, when displayed naturally, can make an older man stand out in a crowd of younger competitors. It's not about trying to appear young or adopting youthful habits, but about embracing your age with pride and letting your life experiences speak for themselves. One of the most effective ways to project this confidence is through your body language. Simple gestures like maintaining steady eye contact can convey volumes about your self-assurance. When you hold a woman's gaze for just a few seconds longer than usual, you're not just looking at her, you're communicating that you're confident in who you are and what you bring to the table. This kind of silent communication often triggers a deep, instinctual response, making her more drawn to you without her even realizing why. Furthermore, this attraction is often rooted in the fantasy that younger women create around older men. In their minds, an older man isn't just older, he's more mature, more decisive, and more in control. These are qualities that many women, consciously or subconsciously, seek in a partner. They find comfort in the idea that an older man has been through life's challenges and come out stronger, making him not just a partner but also a protector and guide. In addition to exuding confidence, another subtle yet powerful way to build attraction is through playful banter. This might seem trivial, but giving her a playful nickname can create an instant connection. It's not just about the name itself, but about what it represents, a shared joke, a playful tease, a moment of lightheartedness. When you call her troublemaker or princess, you're doing more than just giving her a name, you're crafting a narrative that she becomes a part of. This kind of interaction adds a layer of fun and spontaneity to your conversations, making them memorable. However, the key to using such nicknames effectively lies in moderation. You don't want to overdo it, as that could come off as forced or insincere. Instead, sprinkle them lightly into your conversations, letting them serve as gentle reminders of the playful connection you've established. This balance of teasing and sincerity can create a dynamic that's both exciting and endearing, leaving her thinking about you long after the conversation has ended. Alright, let me tell you about John. Now, John was a guy who had always taken life in stride. In his early 50s, he was the kind of man who had built a solid career, traveled the world a bit, and had his fair share of experiences. He had this easygoing charm, a kind of quiet confidence that comes from knowing who you are and what you're about. You know the type. He wasn't flashy, but there was something about him that made you want to listen when he spoke. One thing about John, though, he'd started to think that maybe his time for romance had passed him by, especially when it came to younger women. He figured that women in their 20s and 30s wouldn't really be interested in a guy like him. He thought, why would they want to be with someone who's old enough to be their dad? It's not like he was down on himself or anything, he just didn't see it as a possibility. But then, one day, something happened that completely changed his perspective. John was at this little coffee shop he liked to visit on weekends. It was one of those cozy, tucked-away places where you could sit for hours and just watch the world go by. He had his usual corner spot, sipping on a cappuccino and reading a book. And that's when Sarah walked in. Sarah was in her early 30s, vibrant and full of energy. She had this natural beauty, the kind that didn't need much effort, just a simple smile, and she lit up the room. John noticed her right away, but he didn't think much of it. He just went back to his book, enjoying the peaceful atmosphere. A few minutes later, Sarah came over to his table. "Is this seat taken?" she asked with a smile. John, slightly surprised, shook his head and motioned for her to sit down. They started chatting, just small talk at first, about the book he was reading, the weather, things like that. But then the conversation started to flow, and before John knew it, they were talking about all sorts of things, travel, music, life in general. As they talked, John noticed something interesting. Sarah wasn't just politely listening, she was genuinely engaged. She was asking questions, laughing at his stories, and even sharing some of her own experiences. There was a connection there, something he hadn't expected at all. And the more they talked, the more John started to relax. He wasn't trying to impress her or hide his age, he was just being himself. At one point, Sarah leaned in a little closer and said, "You know, it's so refreshing to talk to someone who actually has something to say. Most guys I meet just want to talk about themselves, or they're glued to their phones the whole time. But you're different." That comment took John by surprise. He hadn't thought about it that way before. But as he sat there, watching her smile, he realized that maybe, just maybe, his age wasn't a disadvantage at all. In fact, it might be exactly what made him interesting to someone like Sarah. They ended up spending a couple of hours just talking, losing track of time completely. And when it was time to go, Sarah gave him her number. "I'd love to do this again sometime," she said, and John could tell she meant it. Over the next few weeks, John and Sarah kept in touch. They met up a few more times, and each time, that connection grew stronger. John found himself looking forward to their conversations, to the way Sarah brought a fresh perspective to things. And Sarah, well, she was drawn to John's calm, steady presence. She loved the way he made her feel safe and understood, without trying too hard. One day, they were walking in the park, and Sarah said something that really stuck with John. She told him, "You know, it's not about age. It's about how you make someone feel. You make me feel like I can be myself, like I don't have to pretend to be anything I'm not. That's what's attractive, John. Not how old you are, but who you are." Hearing that was like a light bulb moment for John. All this time, he'd been worried about his age, about whether or not he was still in the game. But Sarah showed him that it wasn't about playing a game at all. It was about being authentic, about connecting with someone on a level that goes beyond age or looks or any of that superficial stuff. So, yeah, John and Sarah kept seeing each other, and their relationship grew into something really special. John learned that what he brought to the table, his experience, his wisdom, his ability to really listen and connect, was something that Sarah valued deeply. And in return, she brought a new energy into his life, a sense of excitement and possibility that he hadn't felt in years. In the end, John realized that age is just a number. What really matters is how you show up in the world, how you connect with others, and how you embrace who you are. And once he let go of those doubts, he found himself in a relationship that was more fulfilling than anything he'd experienced before. So, if you ever find yourself thinking that your age is a disadvantage, remember John's story. Remember that it's not about the years you've lived, but about how you live those years, and how you share that with someone who appreciates it. Another important aspect of attracting younger women as an older man is embracing your life experience. This doesn't mean bragging about your achievements or coming across as a know-it-all. Rather, it's about subtly showcasing the wisdom you've gained over the years. Younger women often appreciate a man who can offer insights and perspectives that they might not have encountered before. This can be as simple as sharing a story from your past or offering advice based on your own experiences. The ability to guide and mentor, without being patronizing, can be a powerful tool in building a connection. When you share your experiences, you're not just telling a story, you're giving her a glimpse into your world, one that is likely richer and more complex than what she's used to. This can create a deep sense of intrigue and admiration, making her more eager to learn from you and grow with you. Another element to consider is your assertiveness. While confidence is about being sure of yourself, assertiveness is about taking charge when necessary. Women, particularly younger ones, often admire a man who knows what he wants and isn't afraid to go after it. This doesn't mean being aggressive or domineering, but rather having the ability to take the lead in a situation with ease and grace. Whether it's making plans for a date or deciding on something as simple as where to eat, your decisiveness can be incredibly appealing. When you couple this assertiveness with a sense of reliability, you become the embodiment of stability, a quality that many younger women seek, often without even realizing it. Stability doesn't just refer to financial or career stability, but also emotional stability. In a world that can often feel chaotic and unpredictable, a man who remains calm and composed under pressure can be a source of great comfort. This emotional resilience is something that younger women might find missing in their peers, making an older man stand out even more. Lastly, never underestimate the power of mystery. While it's important to be open and honest, leaving a little bit of yourself undisclosed can add to your allure. You don't have to reveal everything about yourself up front. Allowing her to slowly discover who you are, piece by piece, can create a sense of intrigue that keeps her coming back for more. This doesn't mean being deceptive, but rather understanding the art of pacing, letting her get to know you at a steady, engaging pace that builds anticipation and excitement. As you continue to connect with younger women, remember that your age isn't a disadvantage, it's a unique asset that sets you apart. By embracing who you are and what you've experienced, you can create authentic and lasting connections that are rooted in genuine attraction and respect. The journey to attracting younger women as an older man is less about trying to compete with younger men and more about understanding and leveraging the inherent advantages that come with age. In the following sections, we will share more strategies to help you do just that, ensuring that you can confidently navigate relationships with younger women and thrive in them. When you think about the relationship you have with a woman, it's easy to fall into patterns that feel comfortable but might not serve you well in the long run. Sometimes, men adopt a kind of laid-back approach, thinking that being agreeable and nice will automatically make things work. This might involve trying to prove yourself, particularly with younger women, by constantly showing off your best qualities, whether it's your kindness, your sense of humor, your looks, or your success. You might feel that if you can just make her see how great you are, she'll be impressed and want to be with you. But as you get older, you realize that this approach isn't really necessary, and in fact, it can work against you. Instead of trying to win her approval, your focus should be on being true to yourself and letting her be drawn to you naturally. Alright, let me tell you another story. This one's about John and Emily. So, John is in his early 50s, and he's always been the kind of guy who's comfortable in his own skin. He's had his fair share of life experiences, some good, some not so good, but through it all, he's figured out who he is and what he wants. He's not looking to impress anyone or prove anything anymore. He's just living his life the way he wants to. One day, John meets Emily at a local bookstore. She's in her late 30s, and there's something about her that catches his eye. Maybe it's the way she's so engrossed in a book, or maybe it's just the quiet confidence she seems to carry with her. They end up striking up a conversation about the book she's holding, which happens to be one of John's favorites. They hit it off right away, and before long, they're sitting in the bookstore cafe, chatting like old friends. Now, John, being the kind of guy he is, doesn't feel the need to put on any kind of show. He's not worried about whether she thinks he's cool or successful or anything like that. He's just enjoying the conversation. They talk about all sorts of things, books, travel, life in general, and it's clear they're both having a good time. But what really stands out is how John doesn't try to steer the conversation in any particular direction to make himself look good. He's just being himself, honest and straightforward. At one point, Emily mentions something she's really passionate about. She's into this new wellness trend that's all about mindfulness and meditation. John listens carefully, but when she asks for his opinion, he doesn't just agree to keep the peace. Instead, he says, "I think it's great that it works for you, but I've never been much into that sort of thing. I get my peace of mind in different ways, like spending time outdoors or working with my hands." He's not dismissing her interests, but he's also not pretending to share them just to keep her happy. Emily appreciates this. She's not used to guys being so upfront and honest, especially when it comes to disagreeing. But instead of it creating any awkwardness, it actually makes her respect John more. They end up having a really interesting discussion about different ways people find peace and fulfillment, and it brings them closer. John's honesty, rather than pushing her away, actually deepens their connection. As the conversation goes on, John keeps things light and fun. He's got a dry sense of humor, and he's not afraid to tease Emily a little. When she mentions she's a bit of a coffee snob, for example, he jokingly says, "Well, I guess I'll have to take you to my favorite diner sometime. They serve the kind of coffee that'll put hair on your chest." Emily laughs, appreciating that he can poke fun at her in a way that's playful and not mean-spirited. It's clear he's not trying to impress her, he's just being himself, and that's what makes the interaction so enjoyable. When it's time to leave, John doesn't make a big deal out of asking for her number or setting up another date. He just says, "This was fun. Maybe I'll see you around here again." He's confident enough to know that if she's interested, she'll reach out, and if not, that's okay, too. He's not putting any pressure on the situation because he knows that forcing things never works out in the long run. Sure enough, a few days later, Emily sends him a message, suggesting they meet up again. John's pleased, but he's not overly excited or nervous. He's just happy to see where things go, without any expectations or plans to impress. When they meet up, the conversation flows just as easily as it did before. John's still the same, calm, confident, and completely himself. They talk, laugh, and enjoy each other's company, but there's no sense of urgency or neediness. John's approach is simple: be honest, be yourself, and let things happen naturally. Over time, as they continue to see each other, Emily becomes more and more drawn to John's authenticity. She loves that he's not trying to be someone he's not, and that he's confident enough to express his own opinions, even if they don't always align with hers. She admires his sense of humor, his straightforwardness, and the way he's comfortable in his own skin. John, on the other hand, appreciates that Emily values him for who he really is, not for who he might pretend to be. What's really striking is that there's never any drama or games between them. John isn't trying to impress Emily with grand gestures or over-the-top compliments. He's just living his life and inviting her to be a part of it, if she wants to be. And because he's so relaxed and genuine, Emily feels comfortable being herself too. There's no pretense, no pressure, just two people enjoying each other's company and seeing where things go. In the end, their relationship flourishes because it's built on mutual respect and honesty. Emily appreciates John's confidence and his refusal to compromise who he is just to please her. And John, for his part, is glad to have found someone who values him for exactly who he is. It's a relationship that grows naturally, without any of the usual pitfalls of trying to impress or seeking validation. So, when you think about how you interact with women, remember John's story. It's not about trying to be perfect or saying all the right things. It's about being yourself, being confident, and letting the connection develop naturally. When you approach relationships this way, you'll find that things tend to fall into place on their own, and the right people will be drawn to you for all the right reasons. One of the biggest mistakes you can make in your interactions with women is trying too hard to earn their validation. This behavior, where you're constantly seeking to prove your worth, can actually make you seem less confident and more desperate. It sends a message that you don't fully believe in your own value as a man, which can be a major turn-off. Women can pick up on this neediness, and it often leads them to lose interest. Rather than coming across as self-assured and secure, you end up looking like someone who's trying to fill a void with her approval. That's not the kind of energy you want to bring into a relationship. To avoid falling into this trap, one effective tactic is to bring a bit of playful judgment into your conversations. Now, I'm not talking about being mean or critical, far from it. It's about keeping things lighthearted and fun, using humor to engage with her in a way that shows you're comfortable in your own skin. For example, if she says something that gives you an opening, don't be afraid to tease her a little in a playful, exaggerated way. This kind of banter not only keeps the conversation lively but also demonstrates that you're not hanging on her every word, trying to please her. Instead, you're showing that you can laugh at yourself, at her, and at the situation, which is a sign of real confidence. Another common issue is being overly agreeable, which can quickly land you in the nice guy zone. It's tempting to just nod along with whatever she says, thinking that agreeing with her will make you more likable. But if you're always saying yes to everything, whether it's her ideas, her plans, or her compliments, you might start to blend into the background. Women often perceive this kind of behavior as lacking depth or substance, because it seems like you're more interested in pleasing her than in having a genuine, two-way conversation. It can come across as though you're afraid to voice your own opinions or that you don't have any strong feelings of your own. As an older man, your strength lies in your confidence and the life experience that comes with it. You've lived long enough to know what you stand for, and you shouldn't be afraid to express that. When you're having a conversation and something doesn't quite resonate with you, don't be afraid to speak up and share your perspective. This doesn't mean being confrontational or argumentative, far from it. It's about calmly and confidently offering your viewpoint, showing that you're not just going along with whatever she says to keep the peace. When you do this, you demonstrate that you're a man who has his own thoughts and is comfortable enough in himself to express them. In fact, when you share your true opinions, it can actually deepen the connection you have with her. Disagreements aren't something to shy away from, they're opportunities to show who you really are. When you're willing to stand by your beliefs and discuss them openly, you show that you're not afraid of a little friction. This kind of honesty is refreshing, and it sets you apart from men who are too eager to agree just to avoid conflict. It shows that you're not trying to mold yourself into the perfect guy in her eyes, you're just being yourself, and that's far more attractive. There's something incredibly magnetic about a man who knows who he is and isn't afraid to show it. When you're comfortable with yourself, it comes across in everything you do. You don't need to chase after approval or try to be someone you're not. Instead, you're just living your life, and if she's interested, she'll be drawn to that. This kind of self-assuredness is what makes you stand out, not just to women, but in life in general. It's about knowing that you don't need to be everything to everyone, you just need to be the best version of yourself. Confidence doesn't mean you have to be loud or overbearing. It's about a quiet strength, a sense of self that doesn't waver in the face of other people's opinions. When you interact with a woman, this confidence allows you to engage with her on a deeper level. You're not just trying to impress her, you're interested in getting to know her, and that's a completely different dynamic. When you're not desperate for her approval, you're free to be curious, to explore who she is, and to share who you are without any pretense. Being confident also means being comfortable with the idea that not everyone will like you, and that's perfectly okay. When you're not trying to win her over at all costs, you're more likely to attract the right kind of woman, someone who appreciates you for who you really are. This mindset frees you from the pressure of trying to be something you're not. Instead, you can just be yourself, and let the connection develop naturally. This kind of authenticity is rare, and it's something that women find incredibly appealing. As you embrace this approach, you'll find that your interactions with women become more enjoyable and less stressful. You're not constantly worrying about whether you're saying the right thing or doing the right thing. Instead, you're just being present in the moment, engaging in the conversation, and letting things unfold naturally. This kind of relaxed confidence is something that women notice and appreciate, because it shows that you're not putting on a show, you're just being real. The key to a successful relationship? It isn't about trying to impress someone or win their approval. It's about being authentic, confident, and comfortable in your own skin. When you bring this kind of energy into your interactions, you'll find that women are naturally drawn to you. They'll be attracted to your honesty, your confidence, and the fact that you're not afraid to be yourself. This is what sets you apart from the crowd and makes you truly irresistible. Then, when you stop trying to be what you think she wants and start focusing on being the best version of yourself, everything changes. Your confidence, your sense of humor, and your genuine interest in her will shine through, and that's what will make you stand out. Women appreciate a man who is secure in who he is, who isn't afraid to disagree, and who can keep things light and playful. This is the kind of dynamic that leads to a deeper, more meaningful connection, and it all starts with being true to yourself. You know, there's something a lot of men don't really grasp when it comes to interactions with women, and that's the importance of physical touch. It's a bit of an unspoken language, a way to communicate without saying a word, and yet, it's often overlooked. It's funny because we live in such a touch-averse society these days. People are so afraid of being misunderstood or coming off the wrong way that they end up avoiding touch altogether. But let me tell you, that's a big mistake. Now, we get it, most guys are hesitant to initiate touch because they're worried about being labeled as creepy or inappropriate. It's a legitimate concern, especially in today's world where boundaries are so important. But here's the thing, when done correctly, physical touch can be a powerful tool in building rapport and trust with someone you're interested in. It's not about crossing boundaries or making someone uncomfortable, it's about creating a connection that feels natural and genuine. Alright, let us paint you a picture with this story about Tom and Sarah. It's a little story, but it really drives home how physical touch can make a world of difference, especially when it comes to connection and attraction. So, Tom and Sarah had known each other for a while, just casually through mutual friends. They'd see each other at group gatherings, exchange a few words here and there, but nothing too deep. Tom was always the kind of guy who played it safe. He was friendly, polite, but he kept his distance. Physically, we mean. He never wanted to come across the wrong way, so he stuck to the basics, smiles, nods, and the occasional laugh. One evening, they all ended up at this cozy little cafe, the kind with dim lighting and comfy chairs where you can really settle in and talk. It was one of those nights where everyone was relaxed, just enjoying the vibe, and somehow, Tom and Sarah ended up sitting next to each other on this big, cushy couch. They started chatting, and for the first time, Tom noticed how easy it was to talk to her. Sarah was warm, funny, and had this way of making everyone feel at ease. As the conversation flowed, Tom found himself leaning in a little closer, not even realizing he was doing it. Sarah, with her bright eyes and that contagious laugh, was just so engaging that Tom felt drawn in. They started sharing stories, talking about everything from their favorite movies to their weirdest food experiences. You could tell they were really hitting it off. At one point, Sarah was telling this hilarious story about a disastrous camping trip she'd been on. Tom couldn't help but laugh along with her, and without thinking, he reached out and gave her a light, playful tap on the arm. It was just a quick touch, nothing too forward, but it was enough to break the barrier that had been there before. Sarah didn't flinch or pull away, in fact, she smiled even wider. That little touch seemed to make her feel more connected to Tom, like they were sharing this inside joke. It was so subtle, but it was the first time Tom had really initiated any physical contact with her, and the impact was immediate. The conversation got even more lively after that, with Sarah playfully bumping his shoulder when he made a joke, and Tom starting to feel more confident about being a little more expressive. As the night went on, Tom noticed that Sarah seemed to be responding to his small gestures. When she made a funny comment, he'd give her a high five, and she'd laugh and hold his hand for just a second longer. They were getting comfortable with each other, and the physical touch was no longer something Tom had to think about, it was just happening naturally. But the real moment of connection came when they were talking about something more personal. Sarah mentioned that she'd been having a tough time at work, feeling stressed and overwhelmed. Tom, who was genuinely listening, didn't hesitate this time. He reached out and placed his hand on her shoulder, giving it a gentle squeeze. He looked her in the eye and said, "I get it, Sarah. It's rough, but you're strong, and you'll get through it." That touch wasn't just physical, it was emotional. It was like Tom was saying, "I'm here for you, and I care." And Sarah felt it. She didn't say anything for a moment, just looked at him with this soft, appreciative smile. That simple gesture, that squeeze on the shoulder, made her feel seen and supported. It was like a bridge had been built between them in that instant. From that point on, the dynamic between them changed. There was this unspoken understanding, a connection that wasn't there before. They started touching more frequently, nothing major, just those little things that let you know someone's thinking about you. A hand on the arm when making a point, a pat on the back when standing up to leave, even just sitting a little closer than they had before. It was amazing how much closer they felt just because of these small, thoughtful touches. Tom realized that he didn't need to be afraid of being misunderstood. As long as he was respectful and genuine, touch wasn't something to shy away from, it was something to embrace. It added warmth and depth to their conversations, made Sarah feel more connected to him, and most importantly, it showed that he wasn't afraid to express himself. In the weeks that followed, Tom and Sarah started hanging out more, just the two of them. The connection they'd built through those small touches grew into something more. They'd sit next to each other at the movies, arms brushing, hands occasionally meeting in the popcorn bowl, each touch bringing them closer. When they walked together, Tom found himself naturally guiding her with a hand on her back, and Sarah leaned into it, feeling that silent but clear message of care and connection. One evening, as they were saying goodbye, after a long day of fun, Tom gave Sarah a hug. It wasn't their first hug, but this one felt different. It lingered just a moment longer, with both of them fully aware of the shift in their relationship. It was no longer just about friendship, there was something deeper growing between them, and that hug was like a silent acknowledgement of it. From that point on, touch became a natural part of their relationship. It was something that came easily, without any hesitation or awkwardness. And every time they touched, it reinforced the bond they were building. Tom realized that the fear he'd had before, the worry about being seen as too forward or inappropriate, was all in his head. When touch is genuine and comes from a place of care and connection, it's never creepy, it's comforting, it's warm, and it's exactly what brings people closer. And that's how it went with Tom and Sarah. What started as a simple, almost accidental touch turned into a relationship built on trust, warmth, and a deep emotional connection. All because Tom took that first step, overcame his fear, and allowed physical touch to be a natural part of how he expressed himself. So, next time you're sitting across from someone you care about, don't be afraid to reach out. It might just be the little nudge that turns a good conversation into something truly special. Just think about it. How often do we use touch in our everyday interactions without even thinking about it? A handshake when meeting someone new, a pat on the back when congratulating a friend, a high five when celebrating a win, these are all forms of physical touch that are completely normal and socially acceptable. So why should it be any different when you're interacting with a woman you're interested in? The key is to start small and keep it casual. Maybe you offer a handshake when you first meet her, or a light tap on the arm when you're sharing a laugh. These little gestures might seem insignificant, but they actually play a huge role in how you're perceived. They show that you're comfortable in your own skin, that you're confident, and most importantly, that you're not afraid to express yourself physically. A lot of guys don't realize this, but physical touch can actually help break down barriers and make the other person feel more at ease. It's almost like a signal that says, "Hey, I'm here, I'm present, and I'm comfortable around you." And when you're able to convey that kind of energy, it can really set the tone for the rest of your interaction. What's really interesting is how touch can also enhance feelings of trust and connection. There's actually science behind this. Studies have shown that physical touch can trigger the release of oxytocin, a hormone that promotes bonding and a sense of closeness. So by initiating touch in a way that feels natural and appropriate, you're actually helping to foster a deeper connection with the person you're with. Of course, timing and context are everything. You don't want to rush into it or be too forward, that's where a lot of guys go wrong. It's about reading the situation, picking up on the other person's cues, and knowing when the moment is right. Maybe she says something you agree with, and you lightly touch her shoulder as a way of showing that you're on the same page. Or maybe you're walking side by side, and you gently brush against her arm as you talk. These are subtle, non-threatening touches that can help build a sense of comfort and familiarity. And let's not forget about the importance of maintaining that physical connection as the relationship progresses. It's not just about the initial touch, it's about continuing to use touch as a way to maintain that bond. Whether it's holding hands, a light touch on the back as you guide her through a crowd, or even just sitting close enough that your legs brush against each other, these small gestures can keep the connection alive and well. It's also worth mentioning that touch isn't just about physical attraction, it's about creating a sense of warmth and friendliness. When you're able to touch someone in a way that feels natural and comfortable, it shows that you're a warm, approachable person. And in a world where people are often guarded and closed off, that kind of openness can be incredibly appealing. I think a lot of men would be surprised at just how receptive women can be to physical touch when it's done the right way. It's not about being aggressive or overbearing, it's about being confident and respectful. When you can strike that balance, you'll find that physical touch can actually enhance your interactions and make the other person feel more connected to you. So, if you're someone who tends to shy away from touch because you're worried about how it might be perceived, we encourage you to rethink that approach. Start small, keep it casual, and most importantly, be mindful of how the other person is responding. With a little practice, you'll find that touch can be one of the most powerful tools in your arsenal when it comes to building trust and connection. And who knows? You might just find that it opens up new doors and opportunities in your relationships that you never even imagined. Alright, everyone talks about needing a strong connection with their woman, but who's actually ready to dig in, do the hard work, and really analyze what it takes to build that bond? It's easy to say you want a deep connection, but truly understanding how to achieve it is a different story. You see, a strong connection doesn't just happen by chance. It's something you have to cultivate intentionally. One of the most effective ways to do that is by learning how to lead the conversation. Women are naturally drawn to men who can take the lead, especially when it comes to guiding a conversation with confidence and purpose. It's not just about talking more, it's about steering the interaction in a way that makes her feel seen, heard, and appreciated. When you're leading a conversation, it's not about taking over or dominating the dialogue. It's about creating a space where she feels comfortable to express herself, where the conversation flows smoothly because you're guiding it with intention. Think of it like being the driver on a long road trip. You're the one setting the pace, choosing the route, and making sure the journey is enjoyable. In the early stages, especially, it's crucial that you take the initiative. This means being the one who keeps things moving, who introduces new topics, and who makes sure there's never a lull or awkward silence. Now, leading doesn't mean that you're the only one talking. It's about balancing the conversation in a way that feels natural and engaging for both of you. A big part of this is asking the right questions, those that go beyond the surface and encourage her to open up about who she really is. When you ask thoughtful questions, you're not just gathering information, you're showing her that you're genuinely interested in understanding her, that you care about what she has to say. This kind of curiosity is incredibly attractive because it demonstrates that you're invested in the conversation and, by extension, in getting to know her on a deeper level. But it's not just about the questions you ask, it's also about the stories you share. When you open up about your own experiences, your own thoughts, and your own perspectives, you're inviting her into your world. This sharing creates a two-way street in the conversation, where both of you are contributing equally. It's not just an interview, it's an exchange. And when you share your stories with authenticity, without any pretense or agenda, you're building a bridge of trust and mutual respect. Humor is another critical element in leading a conversation. A well-placed joke or a light-hearted comment can do wonders for breaking the ice and making both of you feel at ease. Humor shows that you're relaxed and comfortable in your own skin, and that you're not afraid to have a little fun. It also creates a connection through shared laughter, which is one of the quickest ways to build rapport. When you can make her laugh, you're not just entertaining her, you're forging a bond that goes beyond words. As you guide the conversation, it's important to be mindful of how you're navigating through different topics. You want to be able to transition smoothly from one subject to another, showing that you're in control but also open to exploring new ideas. This kind of flexibility is attractive because it shows that you're adaptable, that you're not stuck on one track but are capable of moving the conversation in different directions. It's like being a skilled conversationalist who knows how to keep things interesting and engaging without forcing the interaction. One of the key aspects of leading a conversation is expressing your own opinions and viewpoints. It's tempting to agree with everything she says just to keep the peace, but that's not how real connections are made. When you calmly and confidently share your thoughts, even if they differ from hers, you're showing that you're your own person. This kind of assertiveness is attractive because it signals that you have your own values, your own beliefs, and that you're not afraid to stand by them. Taking responsibility for the direction and tone of the conversation is also crucial. You're not waiting for her to keep things going, you're taking the initiative to ensure that the dialogue remains lively and engaging. This shows that you're proactive, that you care about the quality of the interaction, and that you're willing to put in the effort to make it meaningful. It's like being a good host, you're making sure everything runs smoothly and that everyone is having a good time. By taking charge of the conversation, you're also demonstrating that you're the kind of man who can lead in other areas of life. This quality is something many women find incredibly attractive because it suggests that you're capable of handling challenges, making decisions, and taking action when needed. It's not about being overbearing or controlling, it's about being someone who knows what they want and isn't afraid to go after it. When you lead with this kind of confidence, you're showing her that you're a man who can be relied upon. This approach also allows her to relax and be herself. When you're confidently leading the conversation, she doesn't have to worry about carrying the weight of the interaction. This dynamic lets her embrace her feminine side, to be receptive and open, knowing that you've got things under control. It's like a dance, you're leading with assurance, and she's following with grace, both of you moving in harmony. As the conversation progresses, you'll notice that this leadership style helps to build a deeper connection. She'll begin to see you as someone who's not just confident but also considerate and thoughtful. By taking the lead, you're showing her that you're invested in the conversation and, more importantly, in getting to know her better. This kind of investment is attractive because it shows that you're not just interested in a superficial interaction, you're looking for something more meaningful. Leading the conversation also sets the stage for the rest of the relationship. By taking charge from the beginning, you're establishing a dynamic where both of you can feel secure and comfortable. She'll know that she can trust you to guide things when necessary, which creates a sense of stability and trust. This foundation is essential for any healthy relationship, and it all starts with how you handle those initial conversations. Ultimately, when you lead the conversation, you're not just attracting her attention, you're earning her respect. You're showing her that you're a man who knows how to navigate through life with confidence and purpose. This kind of leadership is magnetic, and it's something that will make you stand out in her mind long after the conversation is over. It's about more than just talking, it's about guiding, connecting, and creating a bond that's both meaningful and lasting. If you found this video enjoyable, let's keep the conversation going. Be sure to hit that like button, and if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to our channel. It's a small action, but it makes a big difference in ensuring you never miss out on our latest content. Don't forget to turn on that notification bell so you're the first to know when something new drops. We're genuinely curious about what you think, so drop your thoughts in the comments below. We love hearing from you. Stick around and watch the video all the way through, there's plenty more to enjoy. And before you go, why not take a peek at our next featured video? We've lined up some great content just for you. Thanks so much for watching. We're grateful for your support, and if you could give us a like, share this with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't yet, that would mean the world to us. Until next time, take care, and we'll catch you in the next video.